Having an accurate cost control is crucial for manufacturing companies, especially for engineering to other firms. Indeed, if you are one of those, you certainly have long and custom processes, several departments you work with, and a lot of operational costs. But in the end, how can you see if you are really profitable? My name is Charlotte. I am a business analyst in the manufacturing expert team, and today we are going to see together how Odoo can help you having a precise overview of your costs and revenues throughout an engineering to order process. In order to do so, I am first going to come back on the concept of analytic accounting. We will then see why this is important for engineering to order companies, and finally we will see together through a demonstration how all of this works in Odoo. But before doing so, if you have any question, feel free to ask them on the pad that is displayed here, and I will answer them at the end of this presentation. First, what is analytic accounting? I know that you may think this is a not so easy topic, especially at the end of the day after having watched a lot of talks, but I will show you that it's actually not so complicated. Analytic accounting is the financial component of project management. It relies on financial data in order to have information about how, when, and why a company should spend and receive money. The goal is to identify, on one part, all the revenues coming from the product sales and R&D, while tracking at the same time all the costs coming from the labor, the timesheets, and so on. All in all, the goal is for a company to have a personalized view of their finances and have a flexible cost control. And this is extremely important for engineering to order ETO companies. But what is engineering to order? Let's imagine you are a company and you are selling and producing luxury rooms. Each customer can come with a specific request about how he wants his room to be produced, with specific shapes, colors, sizes, and so on. The point is, you will only start the production once you have received the exact requirements of your customer, and next time a new client will come to you, the drone will probably be different. All in all, engineering to order is a type of manufacturing where the manufacturer meets the customer demands, and this is why it's suited for customized products and prototyping. Usually, the ETO companies will follow a process such as the following. It will start with a pre-sales phase where the customer will give his exact requirements. Then we can start the project management and allocate a specific budget to the project. The engineering team then can start the design of the first prototype. At some point, the procurement will come into place in order to replenish the components that are needed. Then the production can start for the first prototype. We can then have some back and forth depending on the feedback, the quality test, and so on. And we also have the accounting, obviously, that will take place to encode all the entries linked to the project. And finally, we can install or deliver the product and do some after-sales services. But why using analytic accounting in manufacturing? Actually, ETO companies can face several challenges. First, it's hard for them to keep track of their profitability, as they have a lot of different costs coming from different areas. There is also a high involvement of the customer, so it's also hard to keep track of all the discussions and so on. This can be long processes and long lead times, as we might need to replenish components that we don't have yet for production. We need to have a good collaboration between everyone involved, as usually the work will be split between different departments. And finally, we also need a good tool in order to follow all the changes we might have on our prototypes. And this is where Odoo comes into place. Thanks to the integration of the different modules and the analytic accounting, we are now able to have a direct overview of our profitability at any moment. But where can we see it? So obviously, we can find the analytic accounting in the accounting app, but what is interesting here is that we can also follow it directly from a bill of material. And what is new here in this new version of Odoo is that not only we can put one analytic account, but we can also allocate an analytic distribution, which means that we can put several analytic accounts, and so the cost of our production will input those different accounts. And this analytic distribution can also be reflected directly in our manufacturing order, but we can also obviously encode it on the fly if needed. In the end, we will find our profitability in our gross margin of our Analytic account, and we will be able to have an easy view of where we are in terms of rentability. But enough here with the theory. So let's see together how it works. If you have assisted to my colleagues Lucas and Milana's talk earlier, you might already be familiar with Solar Odoo. Solar Odoo is a company that is producing and selling solar panels for satellites, and they would like to manage all their flows inside Odoo. So let's see how it goes. So here I am on my database, and before starting my flow, I'm going to have first a look at my employees app. So here today I'm going to work as myself as an engineer with my colleague Luke, the production manager. And what is important here is to have a look at my employee cost. So here I will have a cost of 50 euro per hour, while my colleague Luke here will have a cost of 75 euro per hour. This is important to remind, as it will directly impact my costs and help me to have a precise overview of my costs. So I have seen here my team, and now I want to start my process. So I have here a new customer that come to me, and they would like a new prototype for a custom solar panel. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create directly a new quote for them. So I'm going to select my customer SolarTech here, and I'm going to sell here my service, which is my product conception. So I will here sell the fact that I will design and produce the prototype of the custom solar panel. So here I will sell it at 4,000 euro, and I will also request an immediate payment. So that's good. I know that my customer agreed, so I'm going to directly confirm this quote. When I do this, I have several things that happen. First, I have automatically an Analytic account that is generated for the specific customer, which will help me to follow and keep track of all the revenues and costs linked to that specific demand. And also, I see here that I have one project and several tasks that were created automatically. But before going into that, let's just create the invoice for my customer, as we requested an immediate payment. And I see here also that I have my Analytic account, so that's good. I'm going to confirm, and I'm going to come back here on my sale order. So now I have invoiced my customer, and I want to start working concretely on my project. So I'm going to jump directly on my different tasks. So here I have already a setup of different stages and different tasks. Obviously, we can have way more different stages, tasks, and subtypes, but let's stay simple here. So I'm going to start working on my first phase, which is the design of the prototype. So I see that I am assigned with my colleague Luke, and I will start working on it, so I will enter some timesheets. So let's say I'm going to start working on the design, and I will work 3 hours, while my colleague Luke here will also work on that, but he will work only 2 hours. So I have 5 hours here that are spent on that task. So I can put my task on ongoing as I am working on it. And now I would like to already see where am I in terms of profitability. In order to see that, nothing more simple, I can just jump on my project here, and I will see that I have a project status here. If I'm going on it, I will see that I have all the details related to the costs and revenues that are encoded linked to that project. So I will see that I have invoiced 4,000 euro here, and that I have already some costs linked to the timesheet I have encoded and my employee costs, but I see that I am still profitable, so that's good here. So now I have worked on the design, and I want to launch the first production of my first prototype. In order to do so, I am going to go directly in my manufacturing app. So here I see I have one work center, but before going into a manufacturing order, let's have a look here at our cost. So in my settings of my assembly line, I can set up that I have a specific cost per hour for my work center, which is of 50 euros, so let's keep that in mind as well. And I also have some allowed employees, myself and my colleague Luke. So that's good. Let's start here the production of the first prototype. So I'm going to produce here a custom solar panel. And as it's a new product, I don't have a BOM yet, so it's okay, no problem. I will just start directly constructing it from scratch. I will add here my different components, so I will need some aluminium. I will need here one panel. I will need here some power inverter. with, of course, some quantities, like this. And I also need to perform some operations, so I'm going to add one here, assembly, in my assembly line, and let's say it should last 1 hour normally. So that's good. I have my components, I have my operation, but what interests us here is to follow the cost linked to that. So for that, I can just go here on this tab and add my Analytic account. So this was this one, the 19 for SolarTech, and I can just let it like that. But as I have explained, now we can allocate an Analytic distribution to a manufacturing order. So it means that, let's say, for example, I have other prototypes for other customers in parallel that I am producing, and I would like to see in some place like a total of everything that's cost me in terms of prototyping. So I could add here a new line for a new Analytic account, for example, the R&D, and then I could decide how I want to allocate the cost of this specific production between the two of them. So once it's done, my manufacturing order is ready. I'm just going to confirm it. And let's say now that I start my production, so here I'm going to go quickly on it, and I'm just going to click on Produce All so that everything is ready. So what happens here, I have obviously my new serial number that was generated, and I have here a direct view on my Analytic account. So if I go on it, I will find all the Analytic accounts that were linked in my Analytic distribution. And if I'm going back here on my SolarTech, I will see directly my gross margin. So obviously it decreases a little bit as I consume some things, but let's see here the detail. So if I open it, I will find back here my product conception, so the invoice I made of 4,000 euros, as well as the 2 timesheets that were encoded. And I will find the consumption of my different components here. Here, the time that I've spent on my work center and my employee costs that I spent on my work center, as I spent 1 hour on it. So that's fine. I see that I'm still profitable, so that's good. So let's come back here on my manufacturing order. So I have my first prototype, but maybe I'm not very happy with it. Maybe there's some mistakes and we need some quality testing and it doesn't pass it. So I would like to change some things. Therefore, this prototype is useless. So what I can do is directly here click on scrap, and I'm gonna scrap it. So I'm gonna scrap my custom solar panel with the specific here serial number. But as I would like to improve it and create a second prototype, I'm going to click on replenish quantities so that automatically the system will trigger me a manufacturing order. So let's scrap it here. And so if I'm going back here on my manufacturing order overview, I see that I have a new line that was created automatically for my custom solar panel. As I still don't have any BOM, I can just do the same process by adding here my different components. So let's say here I only need those 2, and I'm going to change a bit the quantities. I'm going to add as well here an operation in my work center with a specific time, like this. And do not forget here my Analytic account that should be linked, and I'm going to add as well my R&D again. So that's good. It's for my second prototype. And here I'm just going to click directly on Produce All and produce this second item. So once it's done, again, I can see here in my Analytic account all the detail of what was done. I see that my gross margin decreases again. And I'm going to see here the new items that were generated. So here I have only 2 components that were consumed. Again, my operation and my employee cost. So in the end, I see that I am still profitable, which is good. As this second prototype is good, I want to keep it. I might need to reuse it in the future. What I can do is to directly generate a BOM from that manufacturing order, as I would like to keep it and reuse it. And Odoo will directly select me the components and the operation that are linked to that manufacturing order. I can also put here a specific reference if I want to, and I'm going to save it. And now Odoo directly generated me a specific bill of material for that custom solar panel, so I can select it in the future if needed. So that here concludes the flow, and then what I can do is to come back on my sales app and sell the prototypes that I have generated. So let's say that now SolarTech orders me the product. I will here select my custom solar panel, and I could maybe sell here 25 units. And here I can choose if I want to link it as well to my Analytic account, I can add it here, or if I want to be different and not include it in my cost. So that's it here for this flow. So today, in conclusion, we have seen that thanks to Odoo, we are able to complete a complete process in the system while having a clear view on the profitability at any moment and keeping always a good collaboration between everyone involved as we have different teams. I hope this was clear for you. I thank you for your time and I will now go for your questions.
Can you change the employee cost on the fly?
No, the employee cost will be directly linked to your employee form.
Okay, perfect. And can you adjust the distribution by default? Because I see that we can have multiple Analytic accounts, but can we change?
Yes, you can create some distribution template that you can use and reuse. So,
perfect. And when you duplicate a manufacturing order, does the Analytic account get duplicated as well?
If you duplicate it, that I'm not sure. I will need to verify it so we can test it later on.
And is Odoo planning on making financial work in progress bookings from the Analytic accounting process as well?
So that's it's a good question. I am not sure, so we can check with the product owner afterwards.
Okay. Can we use different Analytic plans in manufacturing orders?
Yes, indeed. So this is new as well. Here I just use one plan, but we can have several plans in one line so that you can also have a flexible overview on your analytical items.
This is not quite Analytic accounting, but it is manufacturing. So when do you advise to use the generate bill of material features versus the PLM?
Good question. So the generate BOM, you will use it when you need to create a BOM really from scratch. But then if you want to do some modification, you could create an ECO directly from your manufacturing order so that it could be linked with the PLM. So actually that could be also a possibility in the flow.
Perfect. And since the Analytic account doesn't create a journal entry, how can you make the cost directly in the balance of accounting?
Yes. That I think it depends on the type of cost that you will use, if it's automatic or manual, but we can also have a look at that in deeper later.
And this last question that we have is, how did you create an Analytic account directly from the sales order and create an automatic project from it?
Yeah, so here it depends on the setup of your product. So here if I have a service, it will create directly my Analytic account as I have done here in my demo. And the project, so you have the possibility on the product form to generate automatically a project and task or without task and choose a template already pre-configured.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank
that was
you.
our last question.
Thank you.